So today I'm going to be doing a review of the Z3 Pro Dashcam from Z-Edge. Now, one really interesting thing about this dashcam compared to the one that I have on my Saab 9 Turbo X, this one will be getting installed on my Saab 9 Arc. But one of the most interesting things about this specific dashcam that I noticed right off the bat is it has two cameras. So it has the one that faces out like this one faces the road, and it also has one that faces you, which I find very intriguing. As you can see, it's still a very small and compact dash cam. It's a little bit bigger than the other one I have, but most of that's just because it has this extra camera over here. So it's got 4 nice buttons, very nice to press, very high quality, if I'm being quite honest. It's also got a 2-inch LCD screen. It records in full 1080p, wide angle, I believe it's a 150-degree wide angle. There are a lot more features of this camera. I'm not going to go over all of them right now for the sake of time, but if you guys are interested in this specific dash cam, go ahead and check it out. There will be a link at the very top of the description, and at the end of this video I will be testing it both at day and night to see how good it is with the quality. But for now we're going to install it on my 2003 Saab 9 III, and while this dash cam does come with some other parts, of course you have your suction cup mount right here, a cigarette lighter port, and a bunch of wires if you choose not to hardwire it. It also has these little clips to run the wiring from the windshield down to the fuse box, which is what I'll be doing because I'll be hardwiring it. A link to this hardwire kit will also be found at the top of the description. So with all these little tools, I guess, let's go ahead, head outside to the car and get started on the install. It'll be interesting to compare these two cameras because I'll be installing one on the Arc, and then of course I've already installed this Vantrue camera on my 2008 Saab 9 Turbo X. So if you go to page 201, if you have a pre-facelifted, because it was like page 240 for my Turbo X, because it's a facelifted, different electronics, everything, blah blah blah. If you go to page 201, you'll see the fuse diagram for the fuse box that's right next to the steering wheel, and we're going to be using the cigarette lighter, which is fuse number 22. Because while I could choose the option where I want the dash cam to be on 24/7 and have like a parking mode of sorts, I don't want to drain my battery. I could get some sort of cutoff, but I'm deciding not to do that. So what I'm going to do instead is just plug it into a fuse where I know that fuse will only be activated and on when the car is on. Therefore the camera will only be running when the car is running. I'm going to hook up the hardwiring kit to the camera now, and then we'll go ahead and take off the panel and remove the fuse and then get that all sorted, and then we should be good to test it and see if it works. So we've got the camera connected to the mount right here, and then we've got our hardwiring kit right here. So one end is going to plug into the little GPS thing up here. So the GPS right back here is plugged into the camera. The camera is mounted to the suction cup mount, and now the hardwiring kit, or the first part of the hardwiring kit, is mounted to or connected to the GPS thing. Now we have the other end right here with this exposed red wire. So now we have our other end of the hardwiring kit, and this is the part that's going to plug into the car. So we're going to crimp these two wires together. They kind of make it so that way you don't have to solder it, which is nice. So make sure it's in there nice and good, and then just crimp it down. Why is this thing super glued on? There we go. So here's the fuses. So the one that we're looking for is third row, bottom one, this 30 amp right here for the cigarette lighter. So we have one end to the hardwiring kit right here, and you can see there's two little outlets, or inlets I guess, to put the old fuses in. So we're going to put the old 30 amp fuse in here. So fair warning, you will need a good amount of pressure for that. So now this is going to plug in where the 30 amp fuse used to be. And then you have your negative side, which I'm going to connect to this washer right here. So I'm going to slide this in right behind and over this screw, and then tighten it back down. So now I'm also going to add a small 2 amp fuse to the second outlet right here, or the second inlet. It's all plugged in, so now we can check to see if the camera is going to work. Give it a second. Yep, there we go. We got power. So I guess it's going to want me to choose a language and everything right now. Time zone. So we're going to insert the SD card, which goes right here on the side, and then we're going to tuck all the wiring in up through here, and I'll show that. So I'm just gonna run the cable all the way up. I'll show you exactly where I'm going to run it. So it's going to come out of the fuse box right here, run up through this rubber seal, all the way up here, until you meet the end of this little panel. It's going to slide up through here. You're going to be able to see it a little bit, most likely, and then all the way up through here, and it'll be mounted like, probably like right here, preferably in a spot where the mirror will block it so it's not constantly in my sight. So the smart way to do this is to start at this end, so when you get up to the very end, you're not stuck with a ton of extra wire. So I'm going to mount the camera first. So the camera is mounted up there, of course not plugged in. Now if you guys are wondering how to adjust this rear facing camera, you just kind of turn it and it adjusts however you want it. So if you look, this is kind of like what I'll be seeing when I'm driving. You can barely see it, but if I mount it on this black part up here, it's just going to fall right off. So you can see it's pretty much identical to my Turbo X, or I should say it's routed exactly the same, but in terms of how much you can see, again, it's identical to my Turbo X. This tiny little black wire, which when you're looking at it like this, you can barely see it, and you can see it a little bit right here. I might try to push this down in here a little bit more. But the only problem with this being that this is the airbag right here, so you gotta be a little bit careful with that. No problem running it down here along this rubber seal, and up here the question is just, will it fall out or not, really. But now really the last thing to do is just shove all this crap in here and put the cover back on the fuse box. So now everything's back together. It's still daylight out, so I'll go ahead and take it for a drive now, and then when the sun goes down, I'll take it for a drive again, and we'll see how easy it is to read license plates, how good it is to make out street signs, all these other details, and see how good the camera actually is. So yeah, I'm gonna put all my tools away, and then let's hit the road. So here's some of the footage that I have gathered so far in the couple weeks I've been using the dash cam. I'm gonna start off here with a clip at night, because night is usually where dash cams, especially cheaper dash cams, tend to struggle. And you can see as I'm pulling up behind this Model 3 here, you can't really make out what it is until I'm pretty much stopped right behind it. Now you can of course read the license plate very well, that's a bonus, but you can see as the light turns green here and he starts to pull away, as soon as he moves more than a car length away from me, I can't see his license plate anymore. Now this Camry, I believe it is, right next to me on the right here, this black car, or on the left, I can't see his license plate, but I can make out the model of his car, of course. Now switching to a clip during the day, obviously much clearer, much more everything's much more visible. I can't see the license plate of this Mitsubishi right here, but as I pull up closer to it, it becomes pretty obvious and I can see it very clearly. So if I'm following at a regular distance, I can't necessarily see that license plate, and here, just a normal clip, you'll see this Mercedes S-Class come flying out of nowhere. All of a sudden, I mean, maybe I'll do a video of like stupid drivers like this at some point, but I mean, I don't know. I just figured I'd include that because I thought it was a little bit dangerous. And then here's just a picture of me driving, because of course it has a camera that faces you, of course, so nothing special to see there. You can see the license plate of that CRV right until he starts to pull away once again. You can make out all the makes and models of these cars though from a fairly good distance, so it's really just that fine detail of reading the license plate. That's really what I'm judging dash cam, or this dash cam in particular, off of. And just judging them by license plates and street signs, you can read out street signs a lot better obviously because they're much bigger. But that's really all I've got for today, guys. You can see this nice stock Civic here on the right with this huge spoiler for no apparent reason. But that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, link down below if you're interested in this product, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.